So I will talk about the other model. I won't talk about RUP in this batch. It's old, gone, okay, long gone, okay. So what is the point in learning? I know there is nothing new which we should learn to. They just change the terminology and everything, okay. Other than that, and we will never ever use it in your resume too, okay. So it was waterfall model before, now you are using agiles. So it was never RUP, okay. So RUP, but I will give a 5-minute introduction to RUP, okay. I will tell you why it was packaged into many tools, okay. Yes, you have a question? Yeah. Agile, these are the types of agile. Agile methods. Feature driven development, behavior driven development, test driven development, rapid application development, Scrum, XP, RUP. These are all agile models. So what is agile actually? Agile is something, these four principles are there. Any model which follows these four principles. Individuals over process. Individuals and interactions over process and tools. Means care about your employees, not employees actually. The team and the team interaction is more important than what tool we are using for development, what tool we are using for MS. See, by using MS project we won't yield results. By having a better team and communication we yield results. So focus on this, not that one. And working software over comprehensive documentation. Don't write huge documentations and stuff. Try to deliver a working software. It doesn't have to be a great software. Great. So your goal should be a working software. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. The customer, who is the end user or who are the clients or anything, should be involved into this SDLC. They cannot be just there for coming in the meeting in the beginning to approve the plan and everything, and after that to take it over, okay. And change, adaptable to change. Any this SDLC, any agile model, if you change a requirement, it cannot say that I won't take this requirement change. Any agile model should say that yes, I will take this requirement change. Okay. Model is nothing but people who are doing that work. Agree? So the style of our work should be adaptive to requirement changes, design changes, development changes, even test changes too. Okay. All right. So, but if you want to have the comprehensive documentation of what agile means, these are the 10 principles. Okay. Not more than 10 actually. So finally the goal is clear. Team should interact more. Yes. Yeah. Team should interact more, and when the team is interacting, you should follow up on work more, and don't do huge projects. Try to make small iterations and try to deliver everything at the end of the iteration. That is nothing but incrementation, right? Try to deliver something at the end of every iteration, and don't have huge iterations and make it short iteration like month, weeks or something. Another thing is involve the customer, involve all stakeholders, okay, and make sure if any change comes that can be adapted to the next iteration. So that is the reason why we took small iterations. Okay. Yeah. So no problem. I will go through Scrum again. Scrum is a agile model. Okay. Scrum is a agile model. Any agile model should be iterative and incremental. Iterative and incremental. Iterations cannot be long. If you are doing a 6-month iteration, that is not agile. Am I clear? If you are delivering something every 6 months or something, that is not agile. So if you are delivering fast, quickly, but some people might use other than Scrum and they will say that we will deliver every 3 months or something. Just fine. Agreed? So iterative and incremental model. Another thing is they don't focus on documentation like waterfall. In waterfall, everything is documentation. Write VRD, write test plan, write project plan, write this plan, everything. No, because we don't have time. Because we are working on making the software, we are not writing what is software, right? People end up writing more about the software than building more software in waterfall. Yes, I'm not kidding here. Okay, people end up writing more about the software than building the real software. So that is the reason. Don't focus on documentation. Get the real work done. What you want, and don't have high ambitions. Okay, take a piece and say that I will take these two requirements. For example, ordering meal in white box scale. Let's say I want a login page and login button. That is one iteration. I will do it for 2 weeks. Then I will move on for next one. So take smaller chunks and move it forward. So deliver it. And another thing is, don't try to involve the end user. For example, whom you are delivering this, end user or customer, don't give him a surprise after 1 year. Don't show him a big picture before that 1 year and I will say that, I will build this everything. After that, you'll give a cheap product or something. Don't do that. Means a project failure can be failure in any way, like deadlines or cost and everything. So that is the reason that stakeholders should be involved throughout this process, and he should be getting constant updates, and he is part of this process. Agree? So any requirement change or anything should come from them. They should be involved. So it's like a more of a teamwork, and that is the reason we are doing everything goes into iterative and incremental. If your iterations are small, if your increments are small, that is good. Okay, don't do small increments and big iterations. That means you are not working. Agreed? Don't take big incrementation and try to do it in a small iteration over expectations or something like that. Agreed? So it's small iterations, small incrementations, and this is per team, not for the company. Scrum or Agile is on a team. This is what a team implements to work style. This is our team work style. In a company, there might be 100 teams, 1000 teams, I don't know, maybe 10 teams, 20 teams. For one product, you can have many teams. And each team is delivering this. Each team is delivering an incrementation. Am I clear? You are part of one team. Mostly, if you are a tester, you are part of one team. If you are a business analyst or something, you don't belong to a team in Scrum. You give just the product backlog. You keep on updating the product backlog. But whenever they have a question for that sprint, someone is taking that backlog item, you have to go and clear it for them. Agree? So if you are a system admin or a DBA, you don't belong to a Scrum team. Agree? Who are really delivering the product? Developers, testers, right? So this team is core part of the Scrum team. So Scrum is a type of a model, and Scrum focus more on the process. It doesn't talk about the technical, how to do stuff. So Scrum is more process oriented, and Scrum is empirical, more visibility. You can see what is going on. In any given day, if I come into, for example, we are doing Scrum, and let's say our iteration is 3 weeks. What do you call an iteration in Scrum? Sprint. If I come in the second week and if I join the meeting, I will know where I am standing, right? Will I reach my deadline or not? No one has to call me and tell me. I don't have to go through huge documentation. That means that process is empirical. Means it's clearly visible. How it is clearly visible? Because all team is standing up on daily morning. Agreed? That is why we stand up. To update, to tell the progress, to tell what are the blocking items and everything. So it is empirical process. It is visible to us clearly where we are, how we are progressing, whether we will meet it or not. Agreed? If it is non-empirical, I will come and I have to call one person. That person is on lunch. I will call another person. Then I will schedule meeting. They will come half an hour late. What? So Scrum, that is not Scrum. If I come in any day or any meeting, I sit there, I know what is happening in this sprint. What are the items I am doing? Agreed? What are the items I am doing? What is the progress? Where I stand? Who are the part of the team? Agreed? So Scrum is a type of Agile, and it is iterative and incremental. Each iteration is called sprint. A sprint cannot be more than 30 days. It cannot be more than 4 weeks. So how long were your sprints before? 3 weeks? Or 2 weeks is too, people do 2 weeks too. In South Bay, most of the companies do 2 week sprints. Okay, and sometimes can there be a time without a sprint? Yes, sometimes people don't do a sprint for a week or so. When you are in a sprint is different. If you are working in a company, that does not mean you are in a sprint. Maybe you are not doing the sprint for this week. Maybe you are planning items for next sprint or something. Maybe this week is short, 4 days only, right? This week is short, so you never know. That's what. But when the sprint is going on, you are part of the sprint, and you will be attending daily stand-up meetings and daily review meetings. So, and also before starting a sprint, you will be doing sprint planning meeting, and after the sprint, you will be doing sprint review meeting. And is there a project manager, product manager, anything like that? Who is responsible for the sprint? Scrum master, and everyone else is team member. And is everyone busy throughout the sprint? Yes, everyone is busy throughout the sprint. Agreed? So that is Scrum. All right. It's okay. Yeah. So that is Scrum. Then there are other type of models like RUP, XP, rapid application development. So let's go for rapid application development. Before I go into RUP and XP, actually I will more cover XP because we are in Bay Area. Some of the concepts of XP are very well used by Bay Area companies. Okay. So rapid application development. Like 10 years back or 15 years back, did anyone hear about this tool called Visual Studio? Visual Studio, VB. So how do they program? They used to drag the button here, and then they used to code under the button what the button should do. For example, let's say I used to do a point of sale. Let's say in Walmart we want to do point of sale. Scan the item and then press the number of items and then press submit and it will check out. That's it, right? It's all form based applications. What are form based applications? You have Windows forms, like we for example, calculator is a form based application, right? You have to enter, you have to click buttons and everything. Visual Studio is very popular for building this kind of applications. Like these are event driven applications or UI based applications. So like 10 years or 15 years back, all small companies used to do this kind of application. For example, if you go to Firestone or something, they have to check in your for example, if you go for a haircut also, they will ask your phone number, they will enter your system and everything, right? So they use this kind of applications, form based applications. Right? Before now everyone is moving to web. These are nothing but form. The functionality is in the form, and you drag a button, you code with the button. So there is nothing like you don't have to design, you can do prototype and you can just design. So for this type of applications, Microsoft built a model called rapid application development. You don't have to do 6 months of BRD, 6 months of designing and everything. Just directly jump into the coding. If they don't like the button, change the button. If they don't want the button here, move it to the next form. So this is rapid application development. So do it fast. So this is type of agile, but this model is not anymore there. Why? Do we use this kind of applications anymore? Do we use this kind of standalone installed applications anymore? No. That is the reason this is not there. That is called rapid application development. Especially VB and Visual Studio is very popular for that. Okay. All right. After VB, what came for Microsoft? What did Microsoft bring after VB? .NET. Yes, .NET changed. Okay. All right. Okay. And Microsoft got Nokia last week. Yeah. There are two things Microsoft ignored in its career. One is internet, another is mobile. Okay. All right. So let's move on to XP. So XP will be little detailed. XP means extreme programming. Okay, XP means extreme programming. This really tells how to program. See, finally, you are telling that agile is nothing but a fast development. You have to develop fast. Finally, where is the development? Coding, programming. So when you are doing fast coding, there is a chance of errors, right? When you are doing this agile kind of developments, coding is crucial because you are doing fast development. Of course, if you do lazy development also, it is not good. Okay, but here the problems of fast development is code quality decreases. So that is the reason this XP came into picture. XP is not very popular. XP by itself is not a popular model, but the concepts inside the XP are taken by many other models too. So when you go to a company, even though they say Scrum, they might take a point from XP. Even though you go for a company waterfall, they might be doing something agile inside them. You never know. So companies adapt life cycle models not just as on paper, how they suit them. Okay, they might be combination of models, they might be one model, but some points from other models too. So it is better to know all agile models. Okay, so the next popular in agile is XP. In XP, there are 4 concepts actually: pair programming, test driven development, refactoring, continuous integration, okay. All right. So let's see. For example, if I write a program, if there is a bug, do you think I can see it myself? Because I always feel that I wrote a great program and there is no bug in it, there is no mistake. We can't see our own mistake. If the other person reads it, can they see the mistake? Yes, it's common. It's human nature. That is what pair programming is. So literally pair programming means if one person writes the program, other person has to stand up and watch it. Actually, ideally, how this concept came is, on a desk, on a system, there should be only one chair, but 2 people assigned to it. While one is sitting and coding, other person should stand and watch it. While the other person is coding, the other person should stand and watch. But in real world, do you think it will happen? No. But the concept is, a code written by one person should be read by another person. So pair programming is not popular, but some concepts came out of pair programming, those are popular. That is called code reviews, code inspection. Okay. Developer writes code. Developer finishes the code. But he can't make another person stand up while he is writing all this code, right? So better we do a meeting and we say that code review. For example, let's say for this iteration, and again XP is an agile. So is XP an iterative and incremental? Yes. And in XP there is also one more point. No one should work more than 40 hours. That is a good point. Okay, because even though it is agile, they say that you should only work 40 hours. Okay, that is just another point in XP. But let's say, for example, in this iteration we take user stories. Another thing, don't write BRDs in XP. Write all use cases. They have another name in agile. They call this as user stories. What is an user story? Tell me that. A user story is a requirement defined as an interaction between the actor and the system. Agreed? User story is nothing but a requirement defined as an interaction between the actor and the system. In use case, you will have normal flow, you will have description, you will have use case ID, you will have precondition, post condition, alternate flow, exceptions. Agreed? A use case will have description, normal flow, exception, alternate flow. So you have to go and read a user story. Okay. So similarly, user story is just like use case, but little more than that. Okay. User story is also just like a use case, but more in agile. No one writes BIDs anymore. They put everything into user story. Okay. So next thing is coming, for example, developer took a user story and he coded that program. Once he's done the coding or when he is about to finish or anything, he needs to schedule a code review. Code review means, did I really write what you wanted? For example, let's say if you log in, I have to take you to the member index page. If you give a bad login, we have to say that please enter your credentials correctly. If something is missing or something. If you don't enter your credentials, please enter your credentials. Agree? So these are the three types of flows in the login scenario. For example, let's say login scenario. All right. Login scenario. First thing is normal flow. If you give everything right. Alternate flow. Your activation is inactive. Agreed? This is active. This is inactive. Agreed? This is active login. This is inactive login. And exceptions are, let's say you gave not right password, or or let's say you did not enter no details, means you did not give any details or anything. So this is the login user story. So you gave normal, alternative and exception scenarios. So developer has written code for all of this, right? If you give the right login, they will say it will redirect you to member index. Otherwise, it will tell you your account is not active, or otherwise it will tell you please enter. Your credentials are not correct, or otherwise it will tell you please enter the credentials. Then we will conduct a meeting. This meeting will contain a business analyst. We will contain the testers. We will contain the development team and everyone. Everyone will walk through that code and see that did we do all the cases and everything. That is called code review. So we are making sure developer wrote what we wanted. For example, you can think like developer did not write a code for the case when you don't enter anything, it won't say anything. Tester might ask you, you did not write this case, it is in the user story, you forgot about that. So are you testing there? Is it not testing? Means it's testing. You are means you don't have to really go and use the product. You are directly reviewing the code. You are telling that this case is not there or anything. Is business analyst verifying what is happening there? Right? Product manager or someone business team is there. So you can do this code reviews. Code reviews became popular after XP. Okay. Next thing is code inspection. For example, let's say we want to build a car. Yes, we build a car, but is it a quality car? Let's say we want to build the cheapest car than Tata Nano, and we got everything and we built it, but it should move, right? Of course, that is functionality, but that it will break after 1 month. What is the point? So code is doing what it is supposed to do, right? That is called functionality. Is code written well? Is code a good code? For example, let's say we got a TV. Yes, everything is fine, we are playing the movies, we can change the channels and it's presenting HD and everything. But in behind, they are using bad diodes, bad circuits and everything. You know that there won't be any life in it. After 1 month, it will fail. So is it not doing what it is supposed to do? It is doing what it is supposed to do, but it is not built right. Right? That is code inspection. People have to follow standards in code. They can't write their own way or anything. Every company have their own standards, their own code conventions and everything. So developers or senior developer or architect will check that whether they are following good design patterns, whether they are using code conventions and everything. So is it a good code? Forget about what it does. Is it a good code? That is code inspection. Am I clear? So we use code conventions and code standards and something like that, even design patterns, so to find code inspection. Okay, so that is pair programming. Pair programming is a concept from XP, extreme programming. So the second thing is test driven development. Peer developers, peer, everyone should be there, because if I made a mistake, tomorrow the say another developer might make the mistake. It's better to have everyone, right? Yeah. All right. So next thing is test driven development. This is actually popular on book mostly, but very few companies adapt it. And if they adapt it really, they have a lot of work. Okay. So what does it mean? Let's say, for example, first let's start with the same registration scenario on white box QA. Instead of login scenario, we'll write the registration. If it is waterfall model, for white box QA, what we will do? For white box QA, if it is waterfall model, not agile model, we will gather requirements, then we will make a BRD, right? We'll make a BRD. Okay, we wasted 3 months or 4 months on that. After BRD is made, there is one thing I forgot to mention. What they will do? They will review the BRD with the team, developers, testers, everyone. So that is called BRD review. Just like code review, we need to review the BRD, because our business analyst forgot to mention one thing. We remember it. For example, for example, let's say in registration, the username should be valid email address. Agree? For example, business analyst forgot it, but tester can point out that it should be a valid email address. So is tester testing the product there? Yes, tester can test the product with BRD, without the product, with the code, and with the product too. Understood, right? A tester can test a product from the BRD, from the code, from the product itself. So it can be from many ways. So anyway, so we make the BRD, then developer will design it and they will develop it. So once they develop, let's say developers developed it, once they develop, then testers will take it, right? Whatever the developed code, then how will tester proceed? Can anyone tell me how will tester proceed from here? They will write the test cases. What is a test case? Very good. What is a test case then? Say it again. We will write for each requirement, we will write a test case, but that does not mean that is the definition of test case. I want to define me a test case. Procedure of what to test, how to test, and what to expect. Agree? If I do this, I will get this. For example, let's say in the BRD it says that, this is the product, this is how it behaves. Agree? This is the product, this is how it behaves. If you do this, you will get this one. That is user story. Or this is the product, this is the BRD. So we have BRD and user stories, right? We have BRD, use cases, user stories, whatever it is. So, but tester will use this BRD and he will write a test case. If I do this, I will get this. Otherwise, this test failed. The product is not behaving as it is supposed to behave. So when will you write the test cases? When the developer is done with the development, you will write the test cases. Okay? So the product is already built. The product is already built. You are saying that. So you are now writing the test case, how to test it. For example, the developer think like, someone wrote bad BRD, or this developer doesn't understand English. Let's say we gave it to Russia. This development team is in Russia. We wrote it in good English, but they didn't understand that. So they went in a different direction. They went in. So already the damage is done. Now you are writing a test case. If I give this, this should happen. Agreed? So if you are writing the test case, will developer know it? Are you telling the developer, or are you telling it to yourself? You are telling it to yourself. And then after that, what will you do after writing the test case? Then you will execute. What will happen when you execute with this bad product? Everything will fail. Already the damage is done. We wasted 6 months already. Can you bring back the 6 months? Why don't you write this test case in the beginning? Do you need to see the product to write the test cases? What do you need to write test cases? BRD. You need the requirement to write the test case. You don't need the product to write the test case. Why can't you write these test cases before? Can you write it? So you wrote this before the development. Let's say you wrote before the development. So generally before this, developer uses BRD to code. Am I right? And he will code. Same thing, test cases contain the same thing, right? Test cases contain the same thing. It contains requirements only, but in a testable format. If I give this, do this, otherwise it will fail. So which one will be more useful for the developer? Test cases. So can we ask the developer to take the test cases and code these test cases? It's a reverse way. At least you are making sure he is making me happy. If he is making a tester happy, he is making the consumer happy. That is test driven development. Code me the test cases, don't code the BRD. You understood, right? Because what is agile? Give me a working product, don't give me a great product. Remember? Code me the test cases, don't code me the requirement or anything. See, if you are in a very small iteration, let's say anyway you know what is the damage happening with the long iterations and everything. If you are in a small iterations of 2-3 weeks, what does it matter if it takes BRD, user story or test case? What does it matter? Finally everything is same, right? Anyway the BRD is small here, the user story is small, or just case is small, everything is steps. If I do this, I will get this. That is what developers want, right? We don't need huge BRDs. If the developer waits for test cases, isn't it time consuming? We maybe will plan our sprint such a way that developer is coding the previous sprint and you are writing the test cases and user story for this sprint. Anyway, it's 1 month only, right? We are not waiting years. At least before you waited, see, you waited for the development to complete for 6 months before. And then you say that this is not the product you want. How much money you wasted for the company? How much time you wasted? Where is the more damage? But still this is not in practice. I'm just giving you an idea. So Scrum and Agile are becoming popular because of this. So a company doesn't have to implement a test driven development, but a company can still do this kind of development. Am I clear? Because they will give user stories, they will give you test cases and everything. So it should be open to developer from the point, and test cases cannot be written after development, because you won't see the product to write test cases. You always see the BRD. So it does not matter when you write, but it does not have to be always after development. Am I clear? Why you have to wait for development, right? Because what is being done, he already started developing, means you should write the test case too. Agree? When someone is coding for a requirement, you should write the test case for the requirement, because requirement, even though requirement changes, coding should change at that point. So your test case should change at that point. Agree? All right. So that is one type, but test driven development is, it's not really functional cases. We have been thinking about it as functional testing cases. No, it's not about functional testing, it is about unit testing. So I remind me this again when I teach unit testing. I will explain how to write test driven development. Okay? Yeah. And it is more work for developers, not for testers. So don't panic. Okay? Alright. So coming back, there is another thing called refactoring. This is a good concept, but not appreciated. So most of the concepts of XP are very radical. They are not accepted by everyone. Pair programming, no one does it, but code reviews they will do. Test driven development, no one does it, right? Test driven development, no, not many people do it, but they will take, they will write test cases and everything, and they will share it with the developers. So coming back to refactoring, let's say, for example, white box QA is there, code is written, everything is out there. So when will we go and change code? So think like there is a developer of white box QA sitting right next to you. When do you think the developer of white box QA will go and change code? No. It's the product is already there. It's all tested and it's live. It's already live, right? White box QA. So what are the circumstances you think tester will go? Sorry. When there is a new enhancement, excellent. Next. There is a bug to be fixed. I already explained this before, right? Next. That is a new enhancement. Any enhancement is an enhancement. There is a bug. That is enhancement. New versions means enhancement. Change of requirement. You don't want something, you want to change it, override it. New enhancement means you are adding. Bug fix means it is not working. You are fixing it. Changing means change of requirement means it is working but people are changing it. Right? For example, look and feel. Tomorrow we want to go for a new look and feel. There is change requirement. It is not enhancement. Agree? So change requirement, something, for the change requirement can come from many places. Is there any other way you can see a code change? Is there any other way you can see a code change? The version will change because you are adding new enhancements or bug fixes.
Yeah, the tool may change the version
like operating systems or platforms change, that can come under change request because you are changing your product to support the compatibility of new systems. Next, there is nothing, only these three, but there is one more thing. Can a developer just go and say that my code is really messy, let me clean it up for you? Can you do that? But we'll see, that is what waterfall and other models don't support this. It's too scary, right? It sounds very scary for you. Why will a developer go and change a code without any purpose, right? But if you are in an agile methodology, how soon you have to develop? Every couple of weeks you are adding code. Is it becoming messy, dirty? Should we go up and clean once again? So refactoring, that concept is called refactoring. So again, not many people will accept this, they won't take it in, but yes, there is a refactoring. Once in a while in XP, developer should go, they should do a sprint or something for only for refactoring. So yeah, to make sure we don't have memory leaks, we don't have bad initializations. For example, they will run a tool and they will see how is our code. It will give some analytics. They can go and fix some of them. Okay? So this is called refactoring. Are they fixing a bug here? Are they adding a new functionality? Are they changing a requirement? So is anything coming out from it? No, nothing is coming from the user. But still the tester has to test it. Why? To make sure no new bugs came, right? Nothing has broken. So you have to still do regression testing for this. So once in a while in XP, people do, in agile companies they do, but many people are scared. If you are scared means you don't have confidence on your product, on your coding. That is what agile is. Agile tells don't code, don't take long projects. That is the reason, if you are in agile, this is more needed, but very few companies do that. So this is a really radical concept. So it's up to you and your company how you will take it. Okay, it depends. We cannot, it is the concept which is given. It is up to your company which decides whether it is needed for that. All right. So let's go. There is something called continuous integration. Let's say you are in a sprint of 2 weeks. You are in a sprint of 2 weeks. And you have to, let's say we are doing for white box QA. What is the new feature you want in white box QA? Search. Video search, assignment search and everything. Search functionality. And we are doing this in 2 week sprint. I know this is very small for search functionality, but it's okay. Let's say we are doing for 2 week sprint. When you are doing for 2 week sprint, let's say we have to take the user stories. User stories are already there. So business analyst is not doing any work in these 2 weeks. They are only explaining if you don't understand. So business analyst is done. Designer has to design it. Developer has to develop it. You have to test it and you have to deliver it within these 2 weeks. Agree? Do you think that is enough time? You have to write test cases. You have to execute them. You have to file the bugs. You have to report them. You have to do metrics. Like after that, bug metrics, test metrics. And you have to write a huge test plan. Do you think we have time for all this in these 2 weeks? Even for a test plan in waterfall, people take weeks. Writing a test plan, people used to take weeks to for test plan itself. But do you think we have time in these 2 weeks to do that? So let's say, for example, so while developer, for example, we will while developer is developing, he is writing code. Agree? He's writing code. For example, tester also comes in. He also writes code to test this program, to test this functionality. So developer is coding for functionality, and tester is writing code to test that functionality. Got it? So developer is writing code, you are writing code. At the end of the day, after 1 week, developer finished his development and tester finished his automation. Let's say every day there is something which comes in. Let's say there is some tool which comes in, takes the code of the developer and deploys it on the QA server. Agreed? And then it will take the code of the tester and then it will run the test on that server. And then it will give the report, it will email to everyone, and it says that, these are the test cases failed, these are the test cases passed and everything. So it is doing this daily at a time, at every night or something. So by the morning we go to office, we have a report ready. So who is running the test? Is tester doing the testing there? Some tool is doing the testing there, right? And who is telling that something failed? Is tester telling that, or some tool is telling you something failed? But tester is coding that. So finally, every night this runs and it gives us report every day morning. Every night it runs and it gives a report every morning. So if this is in place, will it save our work and time and everything? That is called continuous integration. Continuous integration means every day work of everyone integrates into one place and it will give the feedback to the team. That is called continuous integration. Every night or every day, the work of everyone, tester, developer and everyone will go integrate. It will do something and it will give the feedback. So this we will learn in our last class again. Okay, about this continuous integration, we'll come back and revisit in our last class of this batch. Okay, so we have to wait. Okay, all right. So those are the 4 concepts of XP. Is XP very interesting? So what are the 4 concepts? First one is pair programming. Second one is test driven development. Third one is refactoring. Fourth one is continuous integration. So most of them will not be used by many companies, but once in a while they take a concept. Is continuous integration for waterfall. In waterfall, you don't get result every day. You get result someday. We don't know when is that day. All right. So you can't do continuous integration in waterfall. But still, if you want, you can apply in waterfall too. But will the tester and developer do the work same day in waterfall? No. Then what is the point of continuous integration? It has to integrate work of everyone on the same day and give the feedback on the same day. So 99.9% there can't be continuous integration in waterfall. Because development is already done when you move to testing. Agree? All right. So that is XP. RUP is Rational Unified Process. There is a company called Rational. This is an old process. So this was agile, but this is very old process. You don't need it. Okay, and please don't learn it. Yes, but I will still give you 5 minutes description. Please don't learn it. There is nothing in there. Agree? It's same thing. The only thing which is popular in RUP is there is a diagram. I will show you. Yeah. So they say that there is inception. There are phases. They see Rational is a company which created. Rational is a company. One second. Okay, Rational is a company which created so many tools like Rational Rose, Rational ClearQuest, Rational Robert, and there are so many other tools too which we used to be very popular. Okay, so they created their own life cycle model. In that life cycle model, they say that there are four phases in any software development. One is called inception, next one is called elaboration, third one is called construction, fourth one is called transition. Inception, elaboration, construction, transition. And they say that there are requirements, there is analysis and design, there is testing. See, before in waterfall, everything is clear. Requirements means requirement. Then you will go to design. Here it says that when you are doing the business modeling is a phase which comes before requirements. You are modeling your business. That will start from inception and that will go into elaboration and that will can go. See, when people are making requirements, it can't be requirements is done, you will start design, right? Sometimes they get a new requirement in design also. Sometimes they get a new requirement in coding also, but that they can't get a new requirement in testing because it's already coded. So that is why they say that things overlap, phases overlap. Business modeling can come until construction. Requirements can come until construction, but not in transition. Agree? Like let's say design is more after model inception and more in elaboration and construction, because you can't design while doing coding. Maybe in the little phases, in the beginning phase, but not after coding is coming to end. So implementation and testing, you can start your testing from requirements only. You don't have to wait until the product is done, because you are testing the requirements, you are testing the coding, you are testing the design, you are testing the application too. Okay, so this diagram say, see, if you are 15 years back before Agile, this will sound very intuitive, but it won't sound very intuitive. Understood, right? Because we are already in an iterative and incremental model. So there is no overlaps, even though overlaps are in this 1 month. Of course, we do everything together. People create user stories. Still, we can question a user story. This point is not there. We will call the business analyst for a meeting and we'll make them change, because Agile should adapt change. Okay? Agile means it should adapt to change. So this thing will not come applicable, but this model is created by Rational, and they created tools out of it. They created their own tools. So if anyone is following RAP, they should buy the tools from Rational. So for example, there is Rational Manager, there is Rational Team Project Management something, there is Rational Robot, Rational Quality Manager, Rational Robot. So every designer has to use their tools, tester has to use their tools, project manager has to use their tools. Do you think these tools are free? That is the reason Rational went away. It's bundled. It's a bundled up package. So if you buy one thing, you have to buy everything. Okay, so that is the reason Rational is not popular anymore, and not only big companies used to afford it some time back, but now I don't think anyone is using RUP. Okay, so RUP is nothing but telling Agile in a different fashion. They said their own phases, and they say that things overlap, and they created that, they created a tool for requirements like Rational Requisite Pro. They created a tool for designing, Rational Robot. Rational, there is some more tools, one more tool for designer too. And they created change management. In big companies, if a small change comes, it has to go through many people. So they created a change management process, and they created a tool for this clear case or ClearQuest. ClearQuest is for bug management, clear case is for change management. So they created a tool for every small thing. So that is the reason why we don't see RUP anymore. Okay, but there are some tools here. But the best thing, Rational, it is also Agile, yes, but Agile in their own way, not Agile, global Agile. Understood, right? Yes, they say that they should be iterative and incremental, but they does not define an iteration. Agree? They don't tell that iteration should be this many weeks only. They don't tell that, means it is not, if you use those tools, you are adapted to that, but that does not mean it is being done. Again, you have to write BRDs. But the best thing RUP gave is UML. How many types of diagrams are there in UML? What are those? Use case diagram, What are the other diagrams? Sequence diagram. This is use case diagram. What is the other one? Sequence diagram, activity diagram, and class diagram. Okay. Yeah. All right. So even use case concept comes from RUP only. Use case concept came from RUP only. So RUP gave us two things, and change request means any requirement change should flow through a there is a flow. It has to follow through a process, and there is a tool to do that. Okay. So, and does everyone know what is a ER diagram mean? Entity relationship. Please learn that in SQL. Okay. Entity. What is an entity? In database, what is an entity? Table. Okay. What is the relation? How many types of relationships are there? 4. Tell me what are those? One to one, one to many. Okay. So how do you represent one to many and many to one in a table? For example, I have one customer, 10 orders. How will you do that? One to many means how will you implement it? How do you implement relationships between tables in SQL? Primary key, foreign key. So tell me, let's say I have employees, I have address. For example, I have an employee, I have an address. Can one employee have many addresses? Can two employees belong to one address? Wife and husband. Right? So tell me, how do you put this in table? Tell me, how will you put this into table? There is a address table, there is a employee table. I want many to many relationship. How will you put this into table? Tell me which is foreign key, which is primary key, and what are the tables? I don't want you to give me select statement to join. Join is I want the result. I don't want result. I want you to write. I know you can write the ER diagram because you will draw line one from here, one from that side. But put me into tables. Don't draw me ER diagrams. Okay. Put me into table. For example, you said that employee number is primary key for employee table. Employee ID, let's say employee ID. Address ID is primary key for address table. But where will you put employee ID in address table? Where will you put address ID into employee table? Tell me that. I want relationship with the other table, not with the same table. Primary key is a relationship for same table, not for the outside table. Agreed? So I know foreign key. So which one will be the foreign key and where it will be? If I put the address ID in the employee table, that means every employee can have only one address. If I put the employee ID in address table, that means every address can only belong to one employee. How will you solve this problem? Why do you need a unique key? Why do you need unique key? How do you solve? Okay, see, the thing is, let's say, I will explain this again. This thing like this is the assignment. Okay, let's do assignment. Okay, see, for example, 1 to 1. I don't have to tell 1 to 1, right? 1 to 1. Let's say you don't have to tell 1 to 1. So 1 to many. One employee can. There is an employee table. Employee table has employee ID, employee name, SSN. Right? Enough for now. Address table, address ID, address 1, city, zip. Okay? Agreed? So this is the address table. If I take, this is the primary key for address table, this is the primary key for employee table. If I go and take and I put this as here, this is a foreign key to address table. Agreed? So that means an employee can have only one address. If you need this employee 2 addresses, for example, an employee can have work address, personal address, or some other address too, right? You never know. So when you have to do that, you cannot create a duplicate employee, right? You can't. Will you go and create 2 employees for 1 employee? No, right? You can't do that. So that is the reason. You can't put it here. So let's say we will take this employee ID and we will put it here. This is the foreign key to employee table. That means one address belongs to only one employee. For example, if we have two employees from same home, we will create two addresses with the same address. We can't do that because what is the first principle? Don't duplicate data. Redundancy. Agree? So you can't do this. Then how will you solve this problem? Yes. Yes. What is the key for that then? We will have a table called employee address. What is the key for that? Employee ID is the key. So you are telling that you can't have duplicate employees here. So you are telling that one address cannot belong to two employees here. Or you are saying that one employee cannot have multiple addresses. So let's say you will put address ID here. What is the primary key for this table? Can anyone tell me? What is that key called? Composite key. The primary key is a composite key here. It is a combination of employee ID and address ID. So primary key does not have to be one key. Foreign key does not have, foreign key can be actually one key, but it can be composite key too. So that's what I'm telling. Composite key makes primary key here. That is how you represent many to many. It is easy to do one to many, many to one, but it is not easy to do many to many. So this is many to many. How can you make a composite key? Because address ID is the primary key. You are making this two as composite key. Can't you have an address without an employee? Should address belong to an employee tomorrow? So you are telling that only addresses belong to employees. Can't companies have addresses? Can't something else have addresses? So should address depend on an employee? That is the reason you don't do that. Did I make any sense? Otherwise only one null is allowed. You can only put one address which does not belong to any employee. Because only one employee ID null is allowed. Anyway, you cannot have primary key null. Alright, so we are done with SDLCs. So what is the model you used like a couple of years back? Waterfall. What is the tell me two key points in waterfall. Tell me the two key points in waterfall. Two key points, just two key points. I want only two, and those should be very important. You cannot go back, can't change, no change of requirement. Requirements will not change. Okay, tell me four things about Agile. Iterative and incremental. Change, requirements can change. Small iterations will be very small. And daily progress tracking. Daily team meeting. Got it? Daily team meeting. Yes. Agreed? Alright, so we will move on to testing. So we are starting testing. So define me testing. What is testing? Testing, see, functional testing is a type of testing, right? You are telling functional testing is a type of testing. Just tell me what is testing. That is requirement. Capability and capacity of a system is a requirement. Verification, very good. Verification and validation. Yes, someone went through the recordings. Alright. Yeah. So what is difference between verification and validation? You made the requirement. Okay, that is verification or validation? Verification. You are verifying. Validation is? Actually, you told exactly opposite. Even I get confused by this even after teaching so many times too, because they sound very similar. It's hard to remember which one is what. Testing is verification and validation. Yes. Testing means you are validating that it is behaving or working as it is supposed to behave. Where is this as it is supposed to behave? Someone wrote the definition. See, don't look at the software as a product. It can be any testing. For example, tomorrow you might be doing a hardware testing or network testing or any type of testing. You are making sure it is behaving or doing what it is supposed to do. That is called validation, because you know what it is supposed to do, right? How do you know it is what it is supposed to do? There is a definition in software. What is there to tell that what it is supposed to do? BRD, user story, or some other thing. So we know what it is supposed to do, so we validate against what it is supposed to do. That is called validation. And then there is verification. Verification, really, did we build it right? So let's go and look at the quality, not in the terms of the usage. So let's say we bought a TV home, right? For example, they say this many pixels and this many this one. Go and verify really there are that many pixels. You understand, right? That is verification. We are verifying the how we built the product. Okay. Validating what we built. We build a TV, so TV has to display something, and TV has to change channels and everything. That is what it is supposed to do. But what it is a HD TV. It is, it has this, this many pixels, it has this many things and everything. So we have to verify that. So verifying is a process. So same thing. So testing is nothing but process. So is testing finding bugs? So if you don't find a bug, you didn't test it. That's what you're telling me. So if you don't find a bug, if someone is a really good programmer, he wrote everything correctly, so you didn't test it if you don't find a bug. Nothing is 100% perfect. So can't you clear something without finding a bug? Can't you say that it is working fine without finding a bug? Yes, testing is not finding bugs. Testing is a process of verification and validation. In this process, you find bugs. So our goal is not to find bugs. Agree? Our goal is not to find mistakes of people. Our goal is to improve the quality of the product by ensuring it is. So don't pick mistakes. It is not our job. Our job is to ensure the quality. So quality comes from verification and validation. First of all, why we have to do testing? First of all, tell me that. Why we have to do testing? If you don't do testing, who will do the testing? End user will do the testing. Agree? So if you don't do the testing, end user. Will end user be happy to do the testing? So we will lose clients, we will lose money, we will lose everything, business and everything. That is the reason we do testing. To make end users happy finally. So otherwise, they will test. So if you don't test, finally someone will test, but no one can escape from testing. Okay? Finally it will be tested. So that is the reason we should. And another thing is, if a product goes out of this, let's say a product goes out of this company and someone else found bug, that might lead to a legal issue, or that might lead to the cost of fixing a bug will be more when the product is out than the cost of fixing the bug when it is internal. For example, let's say someone found a bug outside, then we have to do again. We have to write the user story for that. Then we have to fix it. We have to put it into a sprint. So we are wasting time. We are wasting money, right? We are wasting our quality of the product, and we are giving a bad impression to our clients. So we are killing our business. How many things are there? We are wasting time, money and everything. So the cost of fixing a bug when it goes out goes very high. Great. So better find your bugs inside, but that does not mean you can test 100%. Okay. Agreed? So let's see what is verification and validation. Yeah, validation means, first let's talk about validation. Validation means making sure we build the right product. For example, we want to build white box QA. What is the right product of white box QA? When it will let you enable to log in, register, check the recordings, play the recording and everything, then it is validated. When you are doing a validation, you need something to validate. What is that you need something to validate? Requirements. That requirements can be in the form of BRD, user story, use case, diagrams, wireframes, or whatever it is. But you use the requirements to validate a product. So when you need to validate a product, for example, let's say there is a vending machine. I need to validate. What is the requirement? If I put $1 and if I press A, then I will get Mountain Dew out. Right? That is validation. I am making sure I am validating against the requirement. Really, for example, let's say I open the vending machine and I see how much hot is it getting, because if it gets hotter and hotter, it will break down, right? I want to test the hot, how much hot it generally gets. Is the fan really working inside it? Is it the functionality or anything about is it about what vending machine provides? Is it providing me as a heating device, or is the fan providing me a cooling device or something? But that is internal part of that vending machine. So when I test what is inside this vending machine, that is called verification. I am verifying that the cooler is working fine, that the heater is working fine, the electricity is working fine, and everything is inside that is working fine. That is called I am verifying. What do I have to verify? I don't have anything to verify. General rules and the technology and everything, general design principles and everything, or our design and our code or anything. So verification is, are we building the product right? Validation is, are we building the right product? Agreed? So finally, validate. So I don't want to confuse. Okay. Validation is, am I giving what the end user wants? That is called validation. Am I building efficiently? That is verification. So you understood, right? Validation. Are we building the right product? What is the right product for vending machine? It should give. I should use the vending machine. I should go and get something out. I should put money in and everything. That is right product, because I want a vending machine out. I don't want a heater and a cooler, right? Verification. Is the vending machine really built good, or will it break after 1 month or something? Or is it really efficient? Did we use efficient principles in building that? That is called verification. When you are doing validation, so for example, when I go and put $1 inside and get a Coke outside, do I really care how much electricity it is using, or how fast the fan is rotating or anything? Do I need to care? So do I need to open the vending machine and see what is inside? No. This is black box, because the box is black. I don't really care what is inside. That is called black box. So validation is black box testing. White box. Do I really care if it gives Coke out or Dew out? I don't care whether the fan is working, whether this electricity is working fine and everything. Am I really looking inside or outside? So is the box white or black? White. So what is the testing called? White box testing. So in vending machine you have a cooler, you have electricity and everything. What do you have for software? Code. So if you test the code, that is verification. If you test the product, that is called validation. So what is black box testing? So if you have to go and test white box QA testing, are you asking me to give the code, or are asking me to give the white box QA? Will you go and look at, so for validation, will you go and look at the code to do the testing for validation? You want the BID, you want the product. That is validation, because you'll use the PID to validate the product. So for example, really you want to know whether I wrote good code or bad code, or you want to find a else block where I didn't write it correctly. You want to find where there is an infinite loop in my code. Are you really caring about recordings, or are you caring about the code? Code. What is the testing called? White box testing. So what is black box testing? What is white box testing? So is writing code white box testing, or testing code is white box testing? Testing code is white box testing. Writing code can be black box testing and white box testing. So tomorrow if you are going and automating a google.com or linkedin.com or intuit.com or something, finally are you going to intuit.com or going to the intuit code? Intuit.com. So are you testing the product or the code? Product. To test the product, can I write the code to test the product? So if you write a code to test the product, is it black box testing or white box testing? Black box only. So by writing code, you didn't become white box tester. By testing code, you become white box tester. Agreed? So tomorrow, if you go and write Java, Selenium, QTP, VB script and all these, are you still black box tester or white box tester? Black box tester. Then why is our site white box QA? Because we didn't get domain black box QA. Okay? Yeah. All right. So we are, but some people think that is white box testing, but if you really learn how to code, can you test easily code? So can you become white box tester too after this course? If you really want to become a white box tester, not black box tester, if you really know how to write code, how to really test code and everything, simple. It really does not matter. If you know how to write code, you can test code, you can write code to test the product too. So same thing. Then why do we need to write code for black box testing? Because our sprints are small. Agree? If developer did not fix the bug 5 times, you have to test 5 times manually. And do you have that much time for in our sprint? That is the reason. It's agile. It is not only agile. Automation, there are many benefits, but let's not go into automation right now. Okay. So everyone understood validation and verification? Then there is something called principles of testing. There are some things you need to keep in mind while going for testing. These are called principles of testing. The first thing you have to keep in your mind is you can't test everything. It's the first thing. So you can't test everything. So forget about it. So don't try to test everything because you can't test everything. And another thing is you have to cease the testing when the returns, before the returns cease. What does it mean? Let's say, for example, I will give you a good example, don't worry. Let's say we built white box QA. Do you think money we invested into that? Right? For example, let's say then we invested into hardware, development, requirements and everything. Time and everything is also money, right? Right? So we invested time and everything. Coming back, now let's say we hired a testing team to do white box QA. Let's say we are paying something per daily, per hour for them. They kept on testing forever. Is it good? What is the point? We won't get the, finally when we sell this white box QA outside, we don't get that much money. So you can't tell that I will test for a year, right? Or I will test for 6 months. Means testing should stop before the product gives any profit. So your testing should not consume more money, right? I know testing we cannot test everything. Testing is an exhaustive process. You have to go on, you can keep on doing it forever. But that does not mean we should do it forever. Because what is the point of doing it forever? Who will support that? Right? So first we have to make money. So if we finish the testing faster, we make more money. Right? So by making our testing faster, we make more money on the product. That can be white box QA, that can be Google, that can be anything. If you keep on testing, by the time competitor will release another product, right? Or by the time people will lose interest in that. So that is the reason. Testing is limited. So it should be limited, economics. Next thing. there is a simple example why you can't test everything. For example, if you have a loop like nested loop, two nested loops, and if you have a if else condition, if you take a small program, if you really think testing is all about permutations and combinations, if I give you a small program which is written here, it will take 3170 years to test a simple program which has two loops and four if else blocks inside that. So testing is not about testing every case possible out there. Okay. For example, let's say you want to test cards or anything, right? You want to test the 5 card game or a dice. You want to test 2 dice. How many combinations are there? Right? You can't test everything. Of course, it can be finished, but the means testing is not about permutations and combinations. Hello Sabina, I will talk to you at 8:30. So testing is not about permutations and combinations. Don't just putting the permutations and combinations and doing the testing for every case. That will not yield results. That will consume time. That is waste of time too. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. And another thing is when you are testing, I know everyone wants to prove here yourself. Tomorrow you want to go to a big company and prove yourself, and you want to be a good software engineer and everything. That does not mean finding bug is the only way. It does not mean that more number of bugs you found, the good tester you are. After it gets released, if you don't find an issue with it, that is good testing. It's not about the more number of bugs. So don't pursue people. Pursue quality. For example, a developer. Yes, I will find a bug from him. It's not about that. Understood, right? So developers and testers may not have very good relationship. That does not mean you should have a bad relationship. It is not a competition there. And no one likes when you show mistakes from them. Agree? So you should be formal, diligent, There are many other things which come into factor. You are reporting a bug. You are not showing mistakes of other people. Agreed? So you should have really good relationship with the developers. Agreed? So you have to manage that. Then another thing. For example, developer is your friend, or he is a very good programmer in that company. He is the best programmer in that company. That does not mean you should stop testing that one. You should test everything. But that does not mean you should test it forever. Or you should pursue bugs. You should not leave it out of testing too. You should test everything. You cannot assume that there is no bug. There is bug in everything. That can be Google, that can be Adobe, that can be even Android. There is bug in everything. If there is no bug, that is not a software. Yearly, US government loses $80 billion because of bad software testing. There are many examples. Denver airport did not start on time. It got started 6 months delayed. Denver airport. Because software testing went bad. If you go and find, there will be many examples like this. So there will be bad testing. So, but that does not mean you cannot assume that everything is fine in one thing. That does not mean you should pursue bugs. That does not mean you should do exhaustive testing there. Okay. So there are some more things you should test. So a software is always about, if you give valid input, it will give valid output. If you give garbage in, will it give garbage out? For example, if you put your login, let's say, you will go to whitebox here and you put your login information and it will take you to member index. If you just go and you got mad at us or anything and you go and put XYZ and something and you go put XYZ and you press login, what will it say? Please enter your valid username. So did it give garbage out? You gave garbage in. Did it give garbage out? So a software should be valid input, valid output. Invalid input should be valid output. It cannot be garbage out. So you should test for valid and invalid too. Let's look at these things in a different perspective, not right now. And another thing is, testing is extremely creative. We should use our brains. Agree? It is creative and you can, you should use your intuition, what might go wrong. For For example, you should think from behind the software. You should use your experience working with the different softwares like Android phones or some other applications or anything. So you should use your creativity. Okay. Yeah. So now let's say I want to do testing. For example, there is a printer here. We want to do testing. So how will I start testing? So we know what is testing, verification and validation. So 90% of the time we will be doing verification or validation. Validation. So we will be learning mostly validation. We will be learning verification theory for maybe like 20 minutes. But we will learn coding, right? That is all verification. Okay. So we will not learn verification separately. We'll learn 20 minutes of theory, verification, and everything else is coding is verification. But that coding can be used for validation too. So, but everything else we will be teaching is validation, not verification. Okay. So we know what is verification, validation. We know what are the principles of what should be our mindset when approaching testing. Now tell me, there is a printer here. How will you approach testing? How will you start your testing? Say it again. So you'll go to on and off button. Okay. So you'll directly jump on the product. You'll plug in the printer. So I am asking for validation. What do you need before doing validation? What do you need? No. I am asking. Say it again. How it looks and everything. So you need the product. Or you need the definition of the product. You want to write the test cases. So how do you write the test cases? How do you know? For example, I put a printer. Because it is a printer, you know it should print. But is that the only functionality in that printer? There might be more in that. How will you know that what is it? You need requirements. So that is what. First of all, even though we put the printer in front of you, you cannot jump on the printer. You should stop. Where is the requirement? That is the first thing. Very good. So let's say you got the requirement documents. So that can be BRD, user stories, UML diagrams, wireframes and everything. We gave you the requirements. Then what will you do? Yes, we are talking only about validation here. We are not talking about verification. Write test cases. What do you mean by writing test cases? So what is a test case? Define me what is a test case. Define me what is a test case. Tell me that again. Step-by-step process to check the functionality. So, if, for example, so will you write the test case with printer in front of you, or you can write a test case without the printer in front of you? You don't need the printer to write the test case. So assume that there is a printer. Now, for example, in the requirement it says that you can scan using, this is all-in-one printer, right? You can scan, you can print that, and you can fax it. You can scan, you can fax it at the same time. So now tell me a test case for this. I'll put a paper. I'll go to the printer. I will open the lid. I will put the paper. Or can I use the feeder? Do you know what is feeder? On the top, you can just press the feed button. It will take automatically the pages. So there is feeder functionality. There is normal thing. So let's say we'll go for the normal one. I'll go open the lid. I'll put the paper, and then I'll press the scan button. So it will scan the. Should I connect it to my machine before? Yes, I should connect it to my machine. I should install the drivers. I should print the test report. Agree? So for example, let's say everything is done. That is precondition. So now I want to scan. I put a paper. I open the lid. I put the paper and I press the scan button, and it will create the image or PDF onto my machine. If it does not create the PDF or image on my machine, is a bug. Or let's not go for bug yet. So what is the test case? So what did I write? What did I tell? Go to the test printer, open the lid, put the paper, and then do this one. Then it should create me the file on my this. When you open the file page, it should be same as this one. Whatever I put, right? It can't be some other file. Agree? Whatever I scan. So test case is nothing but set of inputs. What is the input here? Paper. Then set of steps. What are the steps here? I open the lid, I put it there, I press the scan button, and expected result. And an expected result. What is the expected result? The file, the image or the PDF which I get is the expected result. What is the input? Paper. What is this? What are the steps? Whatever it is. So what is a test case now? Test case is nothing but a set of inputs plus execution conditions with an expected result. If you don't know what to expect, how will you do testing? You can't just go and scan when you don't know what will happen when you do scan, right? You have to tell that if I print, the paper should be printed. If I scan, that paper should be scanned, right? So if there is no expected result, that is not a test case. If I go to vending machine, I put $1 and I put I should get something out. I cannot just give the dollar away and come back, I did a test case, right? So what is the expected result? Right? So you write test cases. So write test cases is nothing but inputs plus execution conditions plus output. Sorry, expected result. So inputs will be there mostly, but sometimes there cannot be input too. So that is the test case. So when I am writing the test case, am I writing it on the paper or somewhere? Excel sheet or Word doc or anything. Let's say I am writing in Jira or somewhere. So let's say when I am writing the test case, am I really doing the testing? No. So what am I doing then? I am documenting how to test this thing. Agree? So by writing test cases, for example, today I wrote test cases. Tomorrow, let's say, I have to go back to India or something. I leave the company. Will someone else can still come and read the test case and do it? Do they have to write the test cases again? Or they can directly use that? So do everyone in the company know how to do testing by writing it? Does everyone in the company know how to do testing? So do we have to define every time how to do testing every time we test? No. They write test cases once. And test cases does not belong to one person. They belong to the product. Alright, just like BRD, that it belongs to product. BRD defines what is the product. Test cases define how to test the product. So then I write the test cases. For example, now I want to do the testing. What will I do? I will take the test case, then I will go to the printer, I will put the paper, then I will press the scan button, then I will go to the machine and I will verify the file is there. So that real file I am getting is called actual result. This is called expected result. If the actual result equal to expected result, test case passed. If the actual result is not equal to expected result, test case failed. If this fails, something gets born. What is that? Bug comes out. What is a bug? Bug is a defect. Then what is a defect? What is an error? What is a fault? What is a bug? What is a defect? What is a bug? Fault, defect, error. Bug and defect are mostly same. Bug does not have to be something going wrong. For example, let's say when I press the scan button, it should scan as JPEG, but it is scanning as PDF. That is still bug. It is giving me result, but it is not expected equal to actual. Bug is a deviation from the requirement. What is that? Bug is the deviation of the product from the requirement which is defined. It is supposed to do, it is not doing as requirement says. Any deviation from the requirement is called bug or a defect. What is an error? Nothing is working. The printer is not working at all. The printer is not getting the power, or that is an error. It is not deviation from the requirement or anything, because it is not even working at all. You understood, right? So that is called error. Fault is also a bug or a defect, but the only thing is it's a between an error. So for example, let's say when you go to something page 404 error, it is giving you a warning or something like printer. When you go to this, paper out, or let's say it is giving a symbol like a red symbol or something. You don't know what it is. You have to go and find it out. So generally that can be fault or error. Okay. So bugs are not errors. Bugs are deviations from requirements. It is not working as it is supposed to do. Agreed? So that is bug or a defect. Of course, we will go through that again. Is fault a mistake? I cannot tell if it is a mistake or not, because who did it? I don't know. That mistake can be actor who is performing the action. I don't know. That is why we don't use the word mistake in testing. Agreed? There are no mistakes here. They are either bugs, they are either defects, or they are errors. Okay? If it is mistake, someone did it. Right? Okay. So defect and bug are same. Some people will use defect, some people will use defect. If you really look at a defect, it is not working. Really. Okay. For example, let's say you went to a coffee machine, you poured everything and coffee is not coming out. Understood, right? That is a defect. That is more like a fault and defect. But in general, in testing, defect is not that. For example, when I put everything, coffee should come out and it should stop after 1 minute. If it is not stopping after 1 minute, also is a bug. The requirement says that the coffee should flow for 1 minute and it should stop. It is not stopping after 1 minute. So is there any defect there? You can call that a defect also. But generally bug means deviation from requirement. There might be, it is not really something wrong with it, but it is not working as it is expected. Okay, it does not have to be wrong. For example, my car should not go more than 80 miles per hour. Think like that is the requirement. But it is going more than 80 kilometers. It is not a defect. It is really a good functionality. But it is a bug. Understood, right? Because my requirement is a capability and a capacity. The capacity should be 80 only. It cannot be more than that. If it is going more than that, it is not a good feature. It is a bug. You can call that defect too. In testing, bug and defect are same. Fault means brakes failed or something. That is a fault. Brake should not fail. Right? Error means car is not starting. Yes. But they will also, we will report everything as a bug only in testing. But bug, any deviation from the requirement is called bug. Agreed? Any deviation from the requirement, that can be a serious error too, that can be a small fault too, that can be even a good feature which we don't want to, is a bug. Am I clear? Any deviation from, tester finds something wrong. Even for example, a typo here is a bug. Even the image color resolution is a bug. Deviation from the requirement. Agreed? If the login button is not here and if it is here, that is a bug. Because it is deviating from the requirement, because the requirement says it should be there. Agreed? So if, let's say, contact button should be here, register button should be here. Is there anything wrong with it? No, everything is working. But it is deviating from the requirement, because requirement says that contact button should be right. Simple. That is a bug. Is really something went wrong there? Is there any error you are seeing? Nothing. But still that is a bug. Am I clear? It's not about who found it. It's not about who is doing the testing. It's about what it is. Agreed? So finally bug is nothing but a deviation from the requirement. Okay? We'll come to that again. Okay? So let me see. Yeah, so next two classes will be very important. We will be covering all the testing techniques and the types of testing and everything. Okay, alright, so I will leave. We will finish the class today and I will give you an assignment.